Okay, the time is now 11:30. I'm going to call to order the Public Works Committee special call for Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chair Garcia,
Here.
Vice Chair Ozog, Member Cahill, Member Desart, Member Galassi, Member Zay.
Here.
Okay, due to the fact that we do not have a physical quorum, I'm going to appoint member you and member, y'all can be a member of it. Okay, member Evans and member Rutledge to the committee. Well, good morning. Welcome to the special call of the Public Works Committee. This morning we'll receive a presentation and update on the 421 Heritage Gallery Replacement Project being run through Facilities Management and designed by Taylor Studios, who, if you've noticed, we're online. After the presentation, we welcome any board member questions and comments for the design team, and we will also have a designated public comment period for anyone that is signed in to participate. So we're going to do the presentation first, and then we'll have our comments. So good morning. Oh, Jeff, I'm sorry, I forgot you.
It's all good.
We're going to go to Jeff here, who's got some comments first.
Do you want me to bring up the blue presentation real quick? I'll just do a quick history on the project. Hey, Taylor, could you quit sharing for a second? We have another one. There we go. Thank you. Just to get us up to speed on Heritage Gallery itself and the project. Go to the next one, please, Joe. So the Heritage Gallery, it's in the first floor of our 421 building here. It was originally moved here from the DuPage County Historical Museum around 1980. It was administered by an independent Heritage Gallery Foundation, which updated in 2000, which is what you see down there right now. They relinquished control in September of 2020. They signed it over all the artifacts in there and the exhibits themselves to the county. Facilities has been watching over those since. We've had a lot of comments over the years from board members and the public on updating the gallery, what should become of it now that it's kind of floating on its own. Joe, if you could go ahead, please. As you all know, the Wheaton Park District currently administers the museum in downtown Wheaton for us, even though the county owns the artifacts and the building. When the Park District went to update one of their exhibits, we thought it was a good opportunity to team up on a design team. So we presented a public work report last year on that. We followed it up in September with a QBS qualification-based selection process, interviews, and we selected Taylor Studios as the design team for this project. That allowed Park District staff, facilities staff, and board members, and other members of the public to weigh in as part of the process. So there was an allocation from ARPA interest funds at the end of last year, which let us get into the design contract. And Joe, if you go to the last slide, please. Once the contract was completed with Taylor Studios, we began working with them in June over the summer, sending them kind of existing documents and exhibits. They were on site in August. They spent a day looking around the existing exhibits, measuring spaces, seeing what we got, how the building layout works. And the following day, we did a small workshop up here with members Garcia and Childress and Desart were present for parts of that. We covered overall central themes. We talked a little bit about building demographics, visitors, current visitors, overall budget, and we got very lightly into gallery layout ideas and graphic feedback. Taylor Studios took all of that. They've been working on this initial schematic design, and they're here today to present it to us. We have until Friday to get back our official feedback and comments to them before they proceed on to the concept design part of the phase, which will still include a public survey and a focus group, probably in the November, December time. So thanks for coming. And Morgan, if you want to take over, go for it.
We will do it. Okay. Can you guys see the screen okay?
I can see, I'm not sure if I can hear.
Okay. I mean, is that better if I talk this way?
It's a little better.
Here.
Okay. Alright, so I'm just gonna do some quick introductions for the team, and then we will get started within our presentation. Hi, I'm Morgan Perkins. I'm the project manager for this. So I am a part of the team and with you guys as a client every single step of the way. I'm your main go-to person for your project. And we'll kind of work hand in hand. I'll start off here to my right. This is Katie Cow. She is our graphic designer and kind of puts together all of the printed elements in terms and colors and designs and things of that nature. Then we have our exhibit designer, Emma. She's a lot of the physical attributes, any of the casework, any outside physical design elements is what she is included in. And then we have Pete, Pete Salmon. He is our interpretive planner. He does a lot of the content, so he'll write copy, he'll sets up the story of how things connect or what he feels based off of our conversations, how to best connect what you guys want and put it out for visitors and make it digestible and effective. So that's us as a team. I think we're good to move on. What is schematic design? So schematic design for us, it's the very first stage of our design process here. So we come out of the workshop that we had back in August that Jeff had mentioned, and we take your thoughts and ideas and we now have put them to pen and paper. We take a first pass at what our conversation included and trying to get you as much as you can within the budget that was stated. So that's kind of where we're at today. Also with the content, we are very much at an outline format, trying to figure out what detailed content you guys want included with each of the exhibit elements that we have put together. So we're going to walk through that individually, piece by piece with content, and then with the exhibit elements, and then the graphic elements as well. As Miss Chair Member, you had stated, let's hold any questions or comments to the end of the session. We do plan on having like an open forum to kind of discuss feedback or thoughts from you guys.
I think we're gonna do the presentation, then have questions at the end.
Yep, correct. So, okay, I'll hand it over to Pete.
Thank you. Thank you. So Taylor Studios begins every exhibit, no matter what form it takes, whether it's a zoo or whether it's a lobby or something along those lines. We start from what is best understood as a thesis statement. You know the dreadful thesis statements. Where we are trying to come together to put all of the content that's going to follow underneath a central theme. And that central theme is what we want all visitors to take away from after they leave your building. And so after initial meetings and communications, we came up with great things happen here. And we like this because it works on two levels. We like this because it works on great things happen here in this building. People are working for you, they're working efficiently, and we are here to help improve your lives. So great things happen in the building, but then we also have great things happen here in DuPage. So we kind of like the way that it had a dual nature to it. It was abstract enough to fit both of those things in there. And that's what we would like people to take away from when they visit your exhibit in their hearts and in their minds. That's what we would like them to share when they go home. What did you learn in that little exhibit? You know, I really knew, I had no idea that all this stuff was happening here and how good we are and how many other counties copy exactly what we're doing. And so that's how we came across the central theme statement. So this is the overarching thing that is going to focus us because we need a focused exhibit experience. There's nothing worse than going into an exhibit, not knowing where you are or what the content relates to. And so what we're trying to do is maximize the engagement of the visitor by providing a very intuitive explanation of why great things happen here. Now, with all thesis statements or with all central themes, We break them down into digestible chunks for exhibit areas. And that is so that each person can understand what's going on in this area and intuitively understand how it supports great things happen here. So each one of these sub-themes that that you see right here, these sub-themes support the central theme, and that central theme is the focus. So visitors or patrons already know what they're going in and what they're about to learn. And so for sub-theme 1, and these topics, as well as the sub-themes, came from you all who are the content experts. We don't consider ourselves content experts in many things. We consider ourselves experts in laying it out so that the visitor gets the most engagement possible and hopefully remembers it when they hop in their car and head home. So sub-theme 1 is county services. I got to get a little closer, sorry. You'll only see me in profile, but that's better than seeing me straight on, what my wife says. This building provides services that increase your well-being when you are out and about in DuPage County. Now you can see how that relates and supports great things happen here. Sub-theme 2, citizen involvement. DuPage County has an active event calendar and engaged residents doing amazing things. Once again, great things are happening here. Do you know all about these things? Number 3, sustainability. DuPage County implements 3 pillars of sustainability. If anyone needs a reminder, I doubt you do. It's the fiscal, environmental, and social aspects of sustainability. I like the way that you went further than just environmental and included the other 2. Sub-theme 4, superior education. DuPage County nurtures your future generations, and that is seen through your national caliber public schools and the amount of quality colleges and universities that are put together. Education was a big aspect that we spoke about. Now I'd like you to look, if you wouldn't mind, at the percentages behind each one. What do those mean? What those mean is going on conversations, we took a stab, or an educated guess would be the better way to put it, as to what emphasis you want to put in each of these areas. So think of sub-theme 1, county services, as an exhibit area. Okay, so we have 4 exhibit areas, and you're going to learn about county services there. So how much of the budget, how much of the effort, and how much of the space should be applied to county services? Well, after discussions, we thought 35% might be a fair assessment. Citizen involvement, that was another large one. So those 2 we felt were the largest ones coming after we left speaking to the group. And DuPage County has an active event calendar and engaged residents doing amazing things. And so we wanted to put all of the things going on, but we also wanted to highlight, hey, you know, this is your neighbor down here that has done this amazing artwork and she's selling it in the park. So we can actually have stories not only from above, from the political above, but from the actual people that live here and can attest to the things that great things happen here. Sorry. Okay, sorry. Sub-theme 4. Oh, we already went down sub-theme 4. So when you review this, please look at this and look at the wording and look at the percentages. And see what you would like to change, if anything, to be changed. So that is the beginning of our initial outline. We have to start somewhere, and so we break them into exhibits give them a percentage, so we at least have an idea going forward of where the most resources are going to be applied. Meaning sub-theme one may have more resources than sub-theme 4. And that is for all of you to look over, as you are the content experts, and say, that percentage is off, or I don't like the way that sub-theme is saying that. And so we take all critiques and all criticisms and encourage them.
Okay, so moving on to kind of some of the layout and aesthetics of the exhibit. I'm Emma, I'm the exhibit designer. And we're gonna start by talking about just kind of the general layout and then moving into a sketch and then getting more and more detailed and specific as we go. So what you're looking at here is the proposed floor plan. As Pete mentioned, it's broken into the content areas, but you will also notice that it's mixed with seating areas. So something we talked about a lot in the workshop is making the space not only an educational space, but also a functional and usable space, both for visitors and for people who work in the building and need to get out of their offices for a bit. So the things I want to draw your attention to are that the exhibits are mixed fairly evenly with seating areas, so that the flow is kind of non-linear and non-chronological. That means that anybody walking into this space can find something that is a point of interest and that draws them and go straight to it. We kind of want to encourage people to slow down, meander through the space and really explore, rather than just kind of trucking through like they tend to do now. There's also, we also want to emphasize how multi-use the space is with this arrangement. So your target audiences are visitors who are in the building for services and people who work in the building and again need to get out of their office or take a call or just have a public workspace. So we really wanted to emphasize both uses and not just have it be this educational thing that feels like it takes up space rather than inviting. Part of this is that we recommend closing off the west entrance to that top hallway like we talked about, because we want the seating area to really feel like a seating area and not a pass-through. And we also want to emphasize that how the new design opens up the space and brings out the lightness, airiness, and height of this beautiful building. We really wanted to emphasize the architecture by taking out the kind of heavy, dense elements and bringing in things that have breathability and openness to their flow. So this is kind of the overall view of the sketch, and you'll see some of the things that we started to talk about in a little more detail. This space is now quite open and inviting, and we really wanted both views out the windows to be very, very visible. We really felt that the views make the building feel more open and feel very welcoming to visitors and employees alike. So we wanted our design to let that openness stay important. We also really want this to be a buzzing cooperative space that invites people to stop and enjoy. This again is why we mix exhibit elements pretty freely with seating elements. And those seating elements are a mix between work areas and comfortable lounge spaces. In the front of your screen, you'll see the citizen involvement interactive, which we'll talk about in greater detail, but that's what Pete started to say about how there's really cool things happening constantly in the county. In the middle ground of your screen, you'll see the sustainability and education kiosk, which we'll also talk about in more detail. But we wanted to really point out that that creates beautiful visibility out both windows, no matter how you stand at it and approach it. The next area is a comfortable lounge area. And then behind that is the county services kiosk, which we will also talk about in more detail. All of the kiosks have an open concept metal framing because we want it to look modern, elegant, and sleek. We want to take out some of the heaviness that maybe was there before and bring in some air. And we are also recommending acoustic panels for this space, because one of the things we most noticed when we were visiting is that every voice, every person bounces so much off of the walls. We felt like it was a very loud space and didn't necessarily invite moments of stopping, pausing, and working. So we really want to kind of increase the usability of that with acoustic paneling. And you'll see that on the brick wall and on the mezzanine. So the first interactive that we're going to talk about is the sustainability and education kiosk. So this is where we're going to cover two sub-themes in one, but we felt that they paired really naturally together. So regardless of where you approach this exhibit from, there's information everywhere. If you're standing at the map side, you're looking over the prairie restoration area outside. If you're standing at the graphics side, you're looking over the pollinator garden by the parking lot. If you're standing at the map side, what you're seeing is a map of DuPage County, and it creates a sense of place and belonging. We've noticed in our work that everybody loves the map. Everyone loves to kind of find where they're from, find where they work, draw those physical connections, and it really establishes a sense of place and a sense of belonging. On top of that map are acrylic graphics that are layered over it and explore content about sustainability efforts and educational facilities in the county. We went with an acrylic graphic look to create a bit of layering and dimensionality over the map. We also really wanted to emphasize kind of the modernity and beauty of this space by using elements that look a bit like the space itself, from the metal to the big windows. The other side of this kiosk is a very large graphic that offers a lot more detailed information about sustainability efforts, past and future, and about every very unique and useful educational opportunity, from high quality public schooling to colleges to trade schools and beyond that. So this really explores those topics in great detail. Next is the citizen involvement kiosk. So this is a very multifaceted unit. You'll notice it is the largest unit that we're providing, but we really feel like this ties to the central theme super powerfully and emphasizes the role of the citizens of DuPage in creating this incredible environment that they live in. We wanted to really focus on the input and the contributions of everyday citizens and make this space about them, because these are the people entering the building for services, and these are the people out in their communities participating and making it the vibrant place that it is. So on this kiosk, there are some changeable elements where monthly calendars or special events notices can be put up. And there are static elements that talk about ways that citizens can be involved in the county and have always been. There is also a large screen that will be very useful for featuring a mix of current events, possibly interviews with notable citizens to talk about what they're doing, interviews with people who work in the building talking about their really exciting projects, and local art and artists, like for example, student exhibitions that are being displayed somewhere else in the county. This digital screen is really a place to feature anything exciting and current going on and to keep it fresh and engaging. There are also acrylic rays that you will notice behind the screen. The purpose of these is to bring some color to the space and to bounce some colorful shadows and light and really tie in our color scheme and graphic approach with the. And then the last kiosk area that we're going to look at is the county services area. So the goal of this is twofold. First off, it works as a wayfinding station to get around this building. And second, it works as a reference to all the incredible things that are done in the building by the local government. So basically, it is a very large graphic map of the 421 building with notable areas pulled out and noted and written about. There are also graphics surrounding this that go into detail not only about where each office is, but what it does and what role it plays in providing services to the citizens. We really want to make it clear that this building doesn't exist in a vacuum, but offers plenty to the people that live around it and use it. And then we're going to show you some inspiration images. Keep in mind that these are a reference for the elements that you've seen in the sketches. They are meant to provide an idea of what's in the space in terms of materials and overall aesthetic. We don't want you to get too bogged down or focused on specifics. This is just kind of the vibe slide. So the first image on the left that you'll see is an example of what the acrylic rays in the citizen involvement kiosk may look like. Acrylic is a really useful material in that it still allows full visibility through the space and light to flow through, but in this case, it also adds a pop of color and brightness. The next image moving towards the right is of some frames. These are a really, really good example for the kind of framing we'll be building. It is sleek, elegant, and low profile. The next image is of some layered acrylic graphics. We really want to emphasize the modernity and look of these without losing any readability or clarity. And then the right-hand side images are just some examples of what custom acoustic panels can look like and how they may fit to your space. And then this section of inspiration images is kind of a reference for the furniture that we are recommending you use in the space. It is a mix of comfort and workability, and the colors are all muted and timeless so that the star of this show really is the building itself and the exhibits. All of the seating, the like soft seating is leather, and all of the surfaces are hard wood and metal. This makes it all very easy to clean and maintain, which is very much a top priority with a public space. The tables along the window are a mix of high top tables and low open tables for people with differing accessibility needs. And the chairs are comfortable soft chairs that also offer a swiveling desk so that they can seamlessly go from a relaxing area to a working area. The couches that we're recommending are low backed and leave the entire space open and clear so that we're not blocking any kind of view with them.
And then we're going to get into the graphics. So on this panel, you can kind of see that these are the fonts and colors that we've chosen for the design. These colors are sort of a vibrant take on the DuPage County Fields colors, with primarily being blues and cool tone grays, while utilizing this kind of vibrant yellow as an accent color, or ways to call attention to some information.
No, it's mumbly. We can't hear her.
Okay, can you speak up a little bit? Because I'm having a hard time
Get
hearing you.
closer to the mic.
Sorry, I'm a little quiet. The header font has kind of a touch of formality and authority, while the subheader and the body copy fonts add an approachability and readability. On this next page, you can kind of see all of these elements put together with the visuals. And so this look allows for a lot of information to be gathered at a glance, especially for visitors who aren't going to spend kind of a long time reading the text or just kind of perusing through the space. This look utilizes symbols and icons to better enhance the visitor understanding of the content quickly. And depending on kind of the specific content, we can illustrate processes more visually, utilizing lists or flowing arrows, as well as that leading line that kind of goes through these graphics as a way to guide the visitors kind of like reading sequence. This layout balances text and imagery to prevent any section from feeling cluttered. The round corners match those acoustic panels, as well as providing a visual contrast to those framing structures on all the kiosks. And then the intent for these kind of graphic clusters is to have different depths for the different panels to kind of create dimension. These design choices really reflect the commitment to clarity, accessibility, and professionalism, and really ensures that the employees for the 421 building, as well as the public, can easily interact with and understand the displayed information.
Okay.
All right, so kind of next steps for us here is we'll go right into our like open forum to discuss feedback. But then just as a reminder too, after this, we'll work together to put questions for a public survey, and then we will also have an open forum that goes out to the public to provide feedback on these designs as well. And then we'll gather all feedback from everybody and then move into the concept design phase, make the adjustments, put more detail into these renderings, and really drive down into the specifics of what you guys are wanting to include in the exhibits here.
Okay.
So, and then also, as just a quick reminder too, we did provide a content outline with this deliverable. We didn't have the time to go through that today. But if anyone has questions of kind of what content we had planned on including within each of the sub-themes, that's a great place to go. Please take a look and review that and let us know if anything fits or doesn't fit, or maybe what's missing. What do you feel like should be added? That sort of thing. So, cool.
I'm I'm gonna start here. Thank you so much for the presentation today. I like some concepts or some parts of this. The one thing I think you're missing is the historical part.
You're here.
Yeah.
On this gallery. I think that when we talked and had our workshop, you know, there was a lot of speaking about timelines and things like that happening when they happened in DuPage County and how we were going to make that clear to people. So when they came there, they would get a history of DuPage County. And it's not in here at all. I mean, there's a lot of good things in here, but I'm not seeing anything about the great things that have happened to get us to here, quite honestly. So that's kind of something I think that needs to be added in here. And I have a feeling you're gonna hear from a couple more board members here about the same thing. I mean, you've got one in there for citizen involvement. I'm not sure if that should be, you know, showing the citizens that have been involved to get us to where we are now. Timelines of the communities and how the county became the county. And so that's what I'm listening to this. This is what I'm seeing is a big void in this. So that's my first indication. I mean, I like the colors that you've chosen. I'm not a big on leather couches. That's not something that I would actually vote for in this area. We want to make it functional, but not to the point that we have leather couches in the area. I think it's some place where people can come and work or sit if they need a place or something like that. So that's another thing that hit me. I do like the acoustic paneling because it is very loud in there. So I think that's a good idea. I'm gonna think some more and I'm gonna move on. I know Member Desart had her hand up first. Member you. So if you want to start, Member Desart.
I will. I'll say that, at the very beginning, you said that we'll take all critiques, and I'll give you my critiques, and that is that, Taylor has not listened to what the Heritage Gallery is at all. I've been in several of these meetings, and it doesn't seem like you've heard anything we've said. You've got things like community services, infrastructure, community safety, county jobs. That's not what the Heritage Gallery is. As Chair Garcia said, it's about diversity, equity, and inclusion of historical events or historical people significant to DuPage County. For example, we talked about how integral DuPage County was in the Underground Railroad. We talked about interesting people like Ellen Martin, who was the first woman to ever vote in the state of Illinois. And I see, just as Chair Garcia said, I see no historical value at all. I mean, if we wanted to put together a kiosk of county services, that should go by the entrance door, but that's not what the Heritage Gallery is. So your whole presentation, frankly, made me livid because it is not what the Heritage Gallery was designed to do, what it's supposed to do. It's about the history, what got us here to here in DuPage County. So, yeah, so I am fight or flight. I mean, I was ready to walk out because this is so, this just makes me livid. It's not what the Heritage Gallery is supposed to be. That's it. Thank you.
Member you.
Thank you, Chair. So I appreciate this presentation very much because this finally gives me a visual idea of what the space would potentially look like. And so that I appreciate that very much. All the historical comments aside, I thought that this would also be a place where the community could come and use as, you know, maybe meeting space or that kind of thing. And so while I do like the open concept, I think Chair Garcia mentioned that it is a very open, loud space. And so I think I was thinking that there would maybe be some enclosed meeting space so that the community could use it. This is a place of business, a place of work. And I don't think a lot of people will come here just to sit, you know, in this open space. I think people will come here to meet, to do meetings, to meet with elected officials, to do that kind of thing. So the Heritage Gallery, obviously, the history part is important and that's great, but I also was hoping that there would be enclosed meeting space. Thank you.
Member Zay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I'm gonna agree with Member Desart. This is nothing that we had previously talked about. And I know I've been accused of being an engineer. I actually have a degree in history. There's nothing about history here whatsoever.
Amen.
I mean, nothing. I mean, and we had talked about doing diversity and doing all of that, and we can update it. But again, I see a lot of static stuff that's gonna be out of date very quickly. We had talked about a lot of video and other audiovisual stuff that could be easily updated. And we could continue to, give our message and talk about different communities and talk about all different nationalities or whatever that's in the county and what they've done over the years and how it's growing. And we just haven't hit it here. I mean, this is so far off the mark. I just don't see. I mean, I wasn't part of the work group, but
Well,
just from
this is not what we talked
discussion with
about.
our committee, this is nothing that we had talked about. So I mean, again, I think before anything said, they wanted all comments by Friday. I think this really needs to be looked at again and needs to be start over at this point, because it's, again, we want something that, I mean, again, we're trying to draw people here. I mean, people are gonna come here no matter what, but how are we gonna draw them here? And if it's this, I don't think we draw them in here. I really don't, because they're coming here anyways. Like you said, we can put any kind of kiosk or anything that we want to put up and talk about and run something every 2 weeks for a different department and do whatever. And people can go to our website and see what other government, what they do here, ever elected official departments. This is just
Yeah, I thought there would be
nowhere
like
near the
one
mark.
digital screen showing maybe things that are going on in the county, but then the rest would be this historical.
Like an
part.
event thing, that's something that's gonna take a lot of work. Who's gonna be in charge of that? You're gonna have to change that weekly, right? I mean, that's gonna have to, that's
Yeah,
stuff that's
well,
gonna
it's
have to
gonna be
be.
like somebody has to type it in, right?
Right,
Basically,
but
or
it's
make
in
the
a static,
graphics,
but you're
right?
gonna have to, some of the stuff, it's gonna be, out of date after a year or two, and then where are we at that point? We
Right.
have to redo it then at that point?
That's why I wanted to get a timeline of how, how we started, how we got here, all of the people who were involved, and then so I said, it's totally missing in this.
Well, again, we're working with the historical.
People involved. I've given you a sheet of the people involved, remember?
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about like in the county itself.
And again, we're
So,
working with the
yes.
museum, so I mean, that's the main things lacking is history. So-
Right. We're gonna do the county board members first. Member Evans?
Yeah, I would echo everyone's comments about, I kept looking at this package, I'm like, it says, I thought it was just gonna be an update of the Heritage Gallery, and then I see Gallery 421. Did somewhere along the line, how did that conversation change from historical, to a gallery? So.
So it wasn't in the workshops.
Okay, yeah,
No.
so this is, I'm ready I would rather keep what we have now than go with this plan, so, I
We
do
can update
agree,
the
we need to
pictures.
start over again.
I agree.
I think we have a lot.
No, it's okay, no, it's okay.
So now we've got other public here who wants to speak. I didn't get their names, so did we get?
I have, sorry. I didn't get your-
Oh, it's okay, I can't, got stuck in traffic.
That's okay. We just need to have your name, so.
Here.
It's
Allison.
right on there.
Okay.
Here's another
Oh,
sheet.
here's another sheet, yeah.
Yeah, let's
Thank
see.
you.
Maybe sign this in, Allison, and I'll start with Philip. Philip, you wanna?
Who you with?
I love our historical.
There we go. Love our historical.
Yeah, okay. Philip, what kind of comments did you have to add to
I would
this?
echo all of the above. Where does the history go?
Right.
There's no talk of history.
That's why I said there's a big void, big, huge
Exactly.
void on that. So,
That's my comment.
so you're hearing the same thing over and over again, that I think there was something missed inherently in our discussions that we've had, that we wanted to keep it still a heritage gallery showing the heritage of DuPage County with maybe some ideas about, some of the services and things like that, but mostly to show the timeline of how we've gotten from the beginning of DuPage County to here and who's been involved. I don't know, member Desart.
I'll say I disagree with you. I don't think it should be about services at all because the people are already here for services. And if we wanted a different, Nick has said that we've got a bunch of large screen televisions
Well, that's what I thought was
in the
gonna be involved.
basement.
Right.
But if you want to do what this building, how this building serves the public, that can be somewhere else in the building. This is the Heritage Gallery about history. And I don't want them, Taylor, to think that we want to talk about what's already going on in the building, because this is about the history of DuPage County.
Right, and I know that there was one thing we were doing our workshops, that there was like a wall where people could walk down and see the whole historical on one side of the wall, and the other side of the wall, I don't know if you remember that, Jeff, there was the seating area that could be used for people, so it was like a dual purpose. So that's kind of how I thought was gonna come out. And this isn't at all how I thought it was gonna come. Allison, you're from the Lombard Historical Society.
Correct, hi. I just want to say, I'm sure there was a lot of work that went into this and based on the comments, I kind of walked in and thought, am I in the right meeting?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Based on
Too.
just, so I think there's some good pieces here that can be changed to be, kind of the conversation. I do like the digital aspect where you could theoretically have like upcoming exhibitions in the county. I mean, I think having a digital component that can be changed. I did have a question about who would be updating that. That's, I think, in terms of, use and ease. Have some of the seating didn't entirely make sense to me. And then even the workstations. In this day and age, when you have a workstation, it's, where are the plugs, where, how is that being used? I think the sustainability factor, I think that's a good piece because of what you're seeing outside that, but then the map, you could convert the map to be something that's, how DuPage County has grown. Having an overlying map that would be about how the county, and then even addressing indigenous people, which is I think that's an important piece that should be discussed. That back wall, I think, because it is a statement piece, maybe that is like how the county, how DuPage County got its name, maybe like that, maybe a giant map of like the historic DuPage County. I think there's a lot of great pieces to this space, but I'm confused about how the history of the entire county fits within this current, I'm very confused. So I think there's some pieces in there. The colors, the font, all readable, great. But I'm lost as a museum person. I'm sure some of the other museum people in the room are a little like, question mark. So I guess the question to Taylor is how did they get here?
Good question.
Could you give us some kind of indication of how you came up with the concepts that you did provide today?
No, thank you for saying that.
Well, I would like to go back and, I apologize for these historical absences, but I would like to get you a nice write-up as to exactly where we went off the rail. And to do so, we would go back to the initial notes and our voting and going through some of the emails instead of just talking from memory. So if you wouldn't mind that, I'd like to put a report together to not to refute anything that you're saying, but to give you the cause and effect and where we went off the rails and to give you a fuller understanding. An understanding of just going through memory is not going to satisfy any of you. So I want to be able to look at some of the stuff that gave us the impression or the incorrect impression that we took from it, to provide you something so that you have answers. You all have grave concerns. Thank you for your honesty. And so I think that I need to go back and I need to trace where this went off the rails and provide that report to you.
Yeah, again, I'm not sure that we need a report, but perhaps just a redirection on terms of I think our priority is we want to stick with the Heritage Society and showing the historical background of DuPage County and the important people and things that happened in DuPage County.
Thank you. I just wanted to suggest, I don't know who's working directly with Taylor, but they send them as we move forward to get this report, if they will, or to redesign what the presentation they verbalized today. But in this document right here, this document on page 5, it gives our request exactly to Taylor, exactly what we want. And what this says is we want Taylor to work with DuPage County and with DuPage County Historical Societies and museums such as our own DuPage
Lombard.
Historical, Lombard, Neighbor Settlement. We also wanted to replace the members of the gallery to reflect the diverse history and population of DuPage County. And then there are examples. So on this page 5 of this document
What document
is our
this?
request,
Okay.
is our request, which
Mm.
outlines exactly what we,
We'll send it to you.
well, it's here in our, we just got it in our
No,
packet.
this is different. This started this whole process right here.
I think we got it in our-
That's not, that's different.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's
Well,
okay.
here,
I
send
don't
it in.
have
Why
it.
don't you send that to Member Garcia
Okay.
and then she can distribute it? Thank you.
Okay, roll by one, we don't.
All right, you're right, sorry. Send it
Wait,
to
what
Member
packet are you
Garcia.
talking
Send it
about?
to Chair
Okay.
Garcia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Where do we go from there?
Yeah, I'll circle back. I mean, I think Taylor Studios was also, as part of the process, I think the history should be brought more into it. I think the demographics, when we were talking that day, like people being here for services was a big part of that discussion. And I think that might be where that got more of a priority.
I had to leave halfway through because of the OMA, so I missed that. Otherwise, I would have could put the kibosh on that right away.
Yeah.
Because this is about history, not about the services. People are already here
Quite
to.
honestly, I don't think that services, that just was,
Right.
we did talk about it, but the emphasis was to be on this history of DuPage County. I know Member Childers and I were talking about the history of DuPage County. Obviously, we still wanted to have something on here. That's why I thought we'd kind of have a little bit of a wall or something, so you'd have a walkway with workwear, but it's not exactly it's not at all what I thought it would be. So,
Can I ask, for Taylor Studios, you've got a lot of feedback. Do you need more feedback? Because you have the group here right now of how to fresh start this. What more, do you need more feedback? They're here right now. Now it's the best time you're gonna get.
Mhm. I don't think, I would like to regroup and retrace. And to see exactly where we went off and be in contact with you. I think we hear you loud and clear on where we have gone off the rails. I think
Can I wanna see the board member, the elected official here to make the decision, spending taxpayer dollars to back up on that. I'm not sure that's a productive use of our money. If the board members have a different opinion, they can express that, but I'm not sure that your time doing that is productive. If anyone has a different thought, please share that. So if you guys wanna spend a smidge amount of time on it, that's okay. But
Yes.
really, we wanna try and, you've gotten the direction you need. If you need more direction, we can get it for you. And I apologize, Madam Chair, if that's fair, if you agree with that assessment.
no, I agree with that assessment.
Okay. And if I may, I'm seeing all the elected officials nodding their head yes, so
Yeah.
I'm
Okay,
not, but I think you, okay,
And that's what the mandate was right
okay,
there.
okay.
No. Member Evans, do you have something else?
Yeah, I would just say that it doesn't matter where it went off the rails, you know, we
It
don't
really
need to go
doesn't.
back in time and find out where it went off the rails. It was always going to be historical. The fact that people were talking about services here, that shouldn't have changed the entire theme of this project. So I just hope that everybody, we can pivot again, you know, try again. And
Yes.
I also want to say about that big back wall, that's a great place for a giant interactive display. I don't like that graphic. It seems like a waste of space. So if you
Okay.
want to put something interactive, that's you know, you don't want to block the light from coming in. You won't block the light if you put a big interactive digital display there. You know, have a timeline of the history of the
That's kind of
county.
where I thought that would be,
Timeline.
You know, Nick Hotmeyer said we were filthy with big, huge video screens downstairs.
Yeah, right.
So it's not any added expense.
So those are my comments. I just hope that we can move forward. I don't want to go back in time and figure out how and where we went off the rails, but
I don't either.
we need to have this be a historical.
no, I'm not suggesting, that aspect necessarily, but I think that in order to get a grasp of where we are, where we need to be, we are gonna have to do a little bit of review.
that'll be for us as the Taylor
Yeah,
team to
I-
find out where we went astray. we don't necessarily need to reach out and
Yeah,
use your guys' time to kind of figure that out, but that's on us.
that's us
Um,
and that's not you. And so what, number one, I apologize. And number two, I ask for a chance that we can get this right.
Remember,
And
I
Go
just
ahead, sorry.
reiterate that, you know, if we're talking about services and what's happening in the building, I think it was you, Dawn, that said that that belongs at the front door,
Right.
not halfway
gallery.
through the building,
Gallery.
that maybe many
Yeah, we could
people
get
are.
a screen up by the front
Right,
area. You're
yeah.
correct, both of you, yes.
Another project for another day, but that's
Not
not
that
what
part
this
of
is
it.
about.
Allison, did you? have something?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Taylor's work. I mean, you guys are well-known in the business, so I guess I'm a little surprised, but that back wall, I mean, to that point, I mean, that could be a great place for digital with also like a reading rail. Could have, you know, a place for artifacts. I mean, we did talk about potentially, you know, museums rotating parts of their collection into the space. I don't know, I've seen Taylor's work and I guess I'm a little surprised by this concept. I mean, in terms of just, I know there's a lot of windows in the space, but you guys are known for being innovative. And so I am a little surprised in where this kind of went left or right, or why someone didn't touch base if there was questions. I mean, were there other communication to some of the chairs about where the direction of this was going? I mean, if there were questions, I guess I'm just surprised how like left field, I mean, in terms of just seeing Taylor's work, I kind of am a little surprised. And I know that other museum people, I mean, we've seen Taylor's work before. I guess I'm a little surprised with the use of the space.
Yes,
I didn't fill out a sheet, can I say? something?
yes, you can say something. I just come here so people can see you talking.
Sure. So I am Michelle Pekova. I work for the DuPage County Historical Museum. I've been working with Taylor and Jeff on this project. I think one of the confusing pieces is we keep getting some very confusing direction from the board. We have somebody who wants a private meeting space. We want somebody who wants seating for working. We have a very small space to begin with, and we want a full history exhibit. So I think the board maybe needs to have a discussion and come together with a little more clear direction on what they want Taylor to design. Because right now they're taking all those things and trying to incorporate everyone's one opinion. But the problem is we can't fit it all. And this is something museums have all the time with all of our spaces.
Yeah, small space.
Is you have to kind of define it down and narrow it down. So that would be what I would want to say to the board, is if maybe as a group, you guys could come together with a little more, you know.
Cohesive ideas.
Right,
Yes,
yeah.
and you know what, Michelle, that is fair, and I totally get that. Seating, no seating, conference rooms, no conference rooms in that tiny space. But the biggest theme is that each and every one of us said it's an historical museum.
It is something
A
I
heritage
circled on mine
museum.
as well and wrote in big red letters. So
Yeah.
I
And I don't
agree with the
disagree.
history part, but
Chairwoman Garcia, maybe we should have a conversation at some point about seating, no seating, you know, what exactly we want it to look like. But we do want it to be a historical venue, gallery. But otherwise,
We're just gonna have a few seats and no conference rooms. I never thought that, because the conference rooms are
it's
up
so
here.
small, right?
Because we just build conference rooms up here. We have extra conference rooms. And it is such a small area, but I thought there'd be a couple seatings down there in case people want to sit, review it, or benches or something like that, but no leather couches. That was not in my idea
and then
realm
somebody
at all.
said cubicles for phone booths. I mean, they were
I
literally
think we're
thinking
looking
of
at
that.
someplace else for that now, right?
Oh,
Is that
great.
right, Tim?
That's-
Yes, so that will not be in there now.
Right.
So-
Thank you,
That's
Michelle, though, you were
fine.
fair, that's
Yes,
fair,
Thank you.
fair comments.
So. remember what
Last
was-
comment, thank
No, that's
you.
okay.
So the far wall there, I'm trying to orient myself. So the windows that we see in this illustration are west facing, correct?
Oh, wait.
No, the
Oh.
ones we mostly see in this
Yeah.
illustration. So
Yeah.
my suggestion is to move that sound wall to the other end, because to me, that is cutting off. If they move it to the other end, then people can see into that space when they come into the front area there. To me, that cuts that space off, that
You're
is,
talking about the bar wall?
Like-
yes, the far wall.
Like seeing it visually from the clerk's
Oh,
office. going down the hall.
that is.
Oh, okay,
That is
well,
there. That's
The wall.
concrete, that's.
Is it already there?
It's already
Okay,
there.
all right.
Yeah.
Never mind then, thank you.
But we could put something
The whole
digital
building
on
could
there or
fall
something
in.
like that, or a timeline or something, right?
You know, you could do something with, you know, a graphic with a monitor, with a rail. I mean, there's a lot of options.
Right.
I mean,
It is a waste of space.
I don't
Well,
know.
we probably confused you totally, and we are sorry about that, but we really want to make sure that this stays a heritage society or a heritage gallery with historical on it, so,
We have some more questions with
Sure.
ourselves. Mine, number one, when we first started this project, the name of the gallery itself was brought up that it didn't have to stay the Heritage Gallery. I just want to be clear, I'm understanding, we want it to say the Heritage Gallery.
I don't think it needs to stay that, but I think the main thing it needs to be, that needs to have the history of DuPage in there. I think we were trying to figure out some ideas of the history of DuPage. I mean, even the thing you gave it us, great things happen here, well, or I'm not even sure that's, I mean, they do happen here, but they've also happened here. So it's like.
The name's not here nor there.
Yeah, but I'm just like, we don't need to keep it the Heritage Gallery, but it does have to have some kind of history. That's what I think. I don't know what anybody else thinks, so.
I agree.
Okay. So if we could think of something else that actually has it in there and perhaps says DuPage County or something, so. Anybody have any other ideas that I'm not, oh, do you have more questions, Taylor Studios?
A few more questions, Katie has some.
Yeah, mostly, I just wanna go through kind of like the three, you might have to move it closer, so I can quiet.
Okay.
The three kind of,
Really loud.
okay. I just kind of want to go through the three kind of sections of things that we have and make sure that we're understanding your feedback. So in
Okay.
terms of content, it looks like we're missing a lot of the historical aspects that we really need as the main portion of this exhibit. Did you have any main kind of layout or exhibit feedback with how it's laid out currently in this design? Sorry.
I would say the wall.
I hate to have a thing.
Timeline.
Take out the sustainability.
Experiential, interactive.
I'm sorry,
all
Philip,
the
what?
above. We definitely want a timeline. We want the history, experiential, interactive. These are all goals. We'll see if we can get them.
And then the
Okay.
DEI part piece.
Oh, DI is number one.
Yeah, I know, we want something with DEI, Philip, I don't know if you heard him, but he wants well, I can't even see.
Experiential.
It's very.
Timeline, experiential, interactive, DEI.
Okay, you heard that, okay. In terms of the layout itself, I think that's what they're asking, is the layout itself, whether whether we like the layout itself or not, in terms of, it's kind of hard to tell because it's based on something that I don't think any of us are really thrilled with. The blank wall, we would love to have something done on that instead of just acoustics tiling. We could have some acoustic tiles on there, but have more of a timeline or something to deal with the historical. I thought under citizen involvement, you could, because you said that was digital, if I remember correctly. That should include the history of DuPage somewhere on there, because you can change that to include a lot of the stuff on there under citizen involvement, people who have been involved to make DuPage County, you know, a great place to live.
Or you can do like a rotating on this day.
Right, or rotating on, that'd be a good idea too, rotating like on today's date, you know, this is who, you know, was involved or something like that, just to, you know, we could change that, but, because that would change all the time. Good job. Getting it, thank you. Which one?
We have a lot of stories to tell. We just want to have room to be able to tell the stories.
Right.
Well, and that's.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And then my last one is are for the graphics, for like the fonts, colors, and kind of the elements, does that still fit within this historical context? Or is this something that needs to be changed as well?
I thought the colors were fine, they're DuPage colors, so I had no problem with those. The font, I'm not a big font person, so anybody have a preference for
Can we
font?
back up to the layout?
Yeah, well, Chair called on me and I was just getting.
She had one more question, so she would spit it out.
Oh, gotcha.
Can you go back to the last page, last picture? One of our members wants to point something out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, you were asking about the layout and what we thought about it. And I don't think it looks much different than what the layout that we have now, except there aren't those huge banners up in the second floor of it. But, you know, in this part here, this is a wall that already exists. And just on the other side is the clerk's office. But this concrete or brick wall, I guess you'd call it, is where I saw the large video screen that we could change constantly. And then if we get rid of this leather furniture, we can add probably more displays in that spot. What is the soundproofing? Is this the soundproofing?
No, that's a monitor.
Oh, where's the
monitor.
soundproofing?
It's
It's-
on the wall.
On the
It's
wall.
It's on the
Put 'em on your
wall.
shirt.
Oh, well, this is where the big monitor should go.
But we can
right?
add above or below.
And
more
there's also a
soundproofing.
wall here on this side that we could put another monitor.
You could.
I also
Number of
wanna-
children.
It seems to me that we're trying to design something and then put the history as the afterthought.
Right.
And it seems to me like we should be designing, we should talk about content, understand what we want in there, and then design it around that, rather than the other way around. Because if you design this, for lack of a better term, a glorified employee break area, that's what it looks like to me. And then try to figure out how to fit the historical value of DuPage County in it, you're gonna miss it every time. Figure out what we want in there. I think we got a museum person,
Well, there's a couple museum people.
right? Figure out what you want in it and then design it around there to make it user-friendly, appealing and all that other stuff.
I think going back to what Michelle said is we have to get our concept clear on what we are telling Taylor what we want. So I think it's been pretty clear during this meeting that we want the historical.
Correct.
Historical.
I'll go back
If
and
anything
design it.
else fits great, that's great, but historical with very little seating area. I don't see us having, I know you would like a room, but I don't see us having another meeting room. We have them up here. That's what we just built out. And so the more you can do in terms of, displays and things like that, would be great. Did you have a question?
Yeah,
Member
well,
Evans?
I have a question, like the seating, and I think we've all agreed we probably don't want it there, but did you look into whether or not that's okay with like the fire department to have something that might be blocking pedestrian traffic?
It's ADA, there'd be, I mean, between the middle and there's enough ADA compliance between the two.
Is
You have
there?
to put, yeah, you need
Okay.
32 inches between, for a walkway, that's just standard.
Okay,
They were also suggesting that we don't use that side as a walkway.
oh,
They were suggesting, just using the one side so that you have more exhibit space, or in this case, they were also trying to please the seating comments we got in the
So
other.
who's gonna come to this building to sit in there and just?
Yeah,
Well, you can have people who, I mean, well,
but that's why,
your employees. I mean,
Well,
Yeah,
that's a whole nother topic.
yeah.
that's why I was
Remember
saying,
you.
that's why I was saying, just public meeting
Temporary
space, it doesn't have to be a large room, it doesn't even have to be like walls, it could just be completely glass, right? And just take, I wasn't expecting the whole like work area and that looks like a library, right? And that's not what we're going for, but I was thinking, if you want to bring people in, then also meeting space is helpful, and then people can also be there for the heritage. I'm not saying a huge meeting space, I'm talking about whatever, it doesn't matter. If that's not the priority, clearly, that's of course fine. If history is a priority, then that is what we're going for.
History is
I
the
think we're
priority.
100% clear on
I
history.
think history is the priority.
And then just.
One more, Alice.
I know, I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay.
So, I mean, I don't think that I think you understand your space, right? And I think museum people, we kind of get this, when you have a small space, like how do you create a multifunctional space, especially because museums are changing in terms of what they are. And so I don't think it's a terrible idea that, yeah, benches would be a good suggestion. But also utilizing that, that lower part of the window, you could theoretically have, a space where you have, some seating. Even, wall graphics, you could create like a really cool, like there's a really awesome products out there that you could do a graphic on the window.
Oh, yeah.
So there is some ways that you could even do low museum rails, along the window areas, that's a suggestion. even that middle area, you could do like a mobile wall that would be, set, front and back with even possibly a monitor built into it if you wanted to. There's just some ways I think that you could utilize those wall space without it interrupting like the daily flow of the building. With kind of putting some pieces of, seating area, workspace, first, who knows, you may want to take a break in your day, maybe go sit in the gallery space, but making it a functional space while also focusing on the history part of it. I mean, I think there are ways of doing that with keeping the emphasis on, the exhibit experience, but I think we all understand in the museum world that, you have to understand that this isn't necessarily a museum space entirely.
Right.
It is for the community. It is a workspace for the people who work in this building. So, I mean, I think there's some ways to incorporate those pieces. And I know Taylor does you guys have some great people who work there. So I think just rethinking about the space of, yes, it's a museum space, but it's also these other two things. And just utilizing those windows areas maybe a little bit better with museum rails, would be my thought.
Can I make one more comment and then I promise I'll be done?
No, that's okay. Remember to
And
start.
that comment is, I'm wondering if Taylor is working with our facilities, Tim, because what we're talking about, chairs over there or benches over by the windows, and what people may not understand is that along both sides of the windows, there is heating vents there. So how would that, affect benches? We can't put benches on top of heating.
No.
So the infrastructure plays part of it,
There's, there's things, you can put a bench in front of an exhibit, there's.
I was thinking more like that, benches in front of the exhibit.
I'm just hoping they're working with Tim.
They are working with Jeff and Tim, so, yeah, so.
One more clarifying question, as we dive into this again. Watching old, some of the previous board meetings about this, we had heard some members of the county board that did not want to attract other people to this building. It now sounds like some people do want to attract people to this building. That is a huge difference. Like that was the main difference between looking at this exhibit and at our exhibit at the museum. We purposely are trying to attract people. This was kind of initially, it
You're
seemed
correct.
like most people did not want to. If that has changed, that would
Well, those people.
that
they're
would
not here.
change it. Okay. Okay, so are
You're right,
we-
there was a few board members that were on the committee that maybe did not want that. Unfortunately, they're not here. If they have comments in regard to that, I guess they must be sending them to Michelle this week, but I think that, even with that said, and I agree with you, there were some board members so I can understand why mixed information was getting to Taylor. Even with that being said, we do have to have the history, period. That just has to be a part
And
of
I
it.
think as, this is kind of a joint project with the museum and
Right.
maybe the history was kind of sliding way too far over to the museum's gonna
Maybe,
cover all those bases and we still need to have a first base here of
right. Because I think
history.
we were gonna
Yeah.
talking about even like maybe, at some point, we could even exchange, some of the exhibits if some of our stuff like that. So I think they kind of got lost somewhere in there. So I do appreciate all. Did you have one more question, I think, on the fonts or something that you were going to ask?
Oh, yeah, it's mostly because of the kind of historical shift. Do the graphics that are currently in this design work for what you're thinking, or is that something that has to change as well?
Okay, can you go to the graphics page again, please?
Mhm.
Thank you.
And that's really clean.
Yeah, I have no problem. I think it's very clear on what it's saying. Member Desart has some comments.
I do. My comment is this, I think looking at graphics and colors, it's way too soon for that. It depends on what kind of exhibits we have.
Right.
Because if we have, say, a black and white of Ellen Martin, for example, which I have on my wall,
Right.
the bright blue and gold are not gonna cut it with black and white, so I think it's way too early to have this discussion.
Okay. And I can understand your point on that. So, but I think for the main things they're looking for, Well, you're right. I think this is something that we can discuss down the road when we've got a little bit idea, a little better maybe schematic of exactly what we're all looking for, I believe. So I don't know what the next steps are in terms of this.
Yeah. Keep in touch with Taylor. We still have a weekly meeting. We'll recap tomorrow on that and, you know, we're gonna have to bring it back for review at some point. I know we have
Okay.
the public survey, but, you know, we'll see if we can get some content lined out ahead of that.
Okay, and do you think we can have a, just send it to the board, maybe just for like, any questions, and then we'll share with people
Yeah.
who, were here in the public, and then we could maybe add our questions that way, instead of having a.
Yeah, as long as we can
Can you,
plug the OMA stuff that.
Yeah, could you send it to?
So the problem there is
Paula?
it
Or
could
send it to me
there's a
also?
meeting
Paula,
under
would
the
you
OMA
be
to
preferred?
which
Oh, that
subject
sounds
us
good.
to all those requirements.
Yeah.
So we're talking another
I think
meeting.
you're-
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a-
Okay. All right.
Can I ask a quick question about the color
There,
palette?
there was some talking and it was picking up multiple people.
Can I
Are
ask a-
we meeting again? I'm sorry.
So, it looks like the UCLA colors or something, but, our county colors are a little bit different, so I don't know if it's gonna be at all confusing with, you know, this bright blue versus the blue that's in our logo. Were you basing it on the county colors? I mean, I like those, but the county, you know, we haven't updated our colors in a while. Is it something that, have we talked about updating county colors or?
No, we're not getting into that now.
As graphic designers, do you have any input on whether or not these
Did you wanna do
colors
that?
are gonna, kind of offset the county colors? If we're putting up any county signage or anything that uses our county colors, is it gonna, you know, as a color theorist, would you have a problem with that?
Michelle, look at you.
So these are the colors. I have a
Pantone.
Pantone book here. The colors marked are the colors, so it's a little bit, I don't have the bright blue
Oh.
because it's not on my, but these are the exact colors that they list here. Except for the bright one.
Okay, so.
So
it's a
then
little
closer to
different
the,
from-
they're closer to the
Yeah,
county
okay.
then, probably.
Well, I don't know, cause printers all print differently, so I would have to know what your
had-
colors are to compare.
We had
Okay.
provided the, our county website got updated about a year ago and we sent over those colors, the digital,
Nice.
yeah, so.
Okay, so they're probably
So they
basing
have
it.
the
somewhere to start
Pantone,
with, yeah.
okay.
And then going with what members started, I think we're a little
Does
ahead
anyone
of
else wanna see
the,
these?
ahead of the horse is a little ahead of the cart, or the cart is ahead of the horse. the other way around.
There's the blue, there's the county blue that you're wearing right now.
Yeah,
I'm just
so-
so.
All right, I think do you have any other further questions for us? I know you're gonna have a meeting, Jeff said, with him tomorrow. Do you have any other further questions for us as a committee that will not confuse you completely?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, we'll come together internally, discuss, impacts and schedule, discuss if it has to change the dates in which we do the public forum. I'm hoping not, but I'm not gonna know until I dive into the details for us specifically as a team and our availability here. And I'll communicate all that through Jeff so he can disseminate it out with everybody else. And we'll come up with a plan to kind of rework this and get it back in front of you for another review period.
Okay, and we do appreciate the work you did, so, you know, we just wanna make sure that we do this once and we do it correctly. That is the main thing, so that we're all on the same page and we're proud of what's done. So thank you so much for that. I think, without any objection, we are adjourned.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.